Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome. Now, one thing I don't like is to have anybody unhappy in the room, so I'd like to start by saying I had somebody's phone here that we've been found already. That's yours. Well done. Are you sure? What's your screensaver? This is not your phone. Really? No, it's sunset. That's yours. It's a wonderful event for you, not so good for you. You got it. Well done. Okay. No problem. I'm a human, find your iPhone app. Excellent. All right, welcome everybody to the 7th annual eTourism Africa Summit. Such a pleasure to be here for the first time this year in 2 cities. It's event's going to be repeated in Johannesburg next week. So this event continues to grow every year with our largest numbers attending this year. So welcome everybody. So to get things started immediately, I'd like to please welcome to the stage the CEO of South African Tourism, Damian Cook. Please welcome Damian.
It was very quick, Damian. I thought you'll give me a few minutes to warm up my feet under the desk there. Minister of Tourism in his absence, will be joining us shortly. And to you, Damian, as the chairman and founder of eTourism Frontiers, our colleagues from the media, members of the trade and travel industry, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you very much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate your support at all times. This is an important gathering of people who are called techies, but a very important one at that. This year's theme for eTourism Summit is aptly called Rethink Travel. This resonates very well with us at South African Tourism because we constantly rethink travel. This industry is very important for a world-class tourism organization like us at South African Tourism. We believe that working together, we can always achieve a lot. Digital is that glue that works very well for us in our integrated marketing approach, connecting us closer to billions of people across the world, the people in the industry, our own staff members, and those that we work with in the industry. We value the relationship, Damian, that we've had with eTourism Summit. It is relevant, it is important in the way that we do things. It's a demonstration of how we can get a little bit more working together with yourselves as the industry. At this kind of event, not only do we learn about digital connections, but it is also something that gives us insight into how technology integrates and changes the lives of people as well as improving how they do their business. The virtual world of digital has become very integral in our daily lives, affecting us certainly in everything that we do, in our aspects of life. And one thing that you all have noticed is that our own Minister of Tourism has embraced technology. Some of you interacted with him on Twitter, Instagram, you have been sending stuff to him. So it goes to show that we are in safe hands with a minister who is technologically connected, who is also technologically very savvy. It's a demonstration of the importance of this social media platform. Many companies have changed their approach when it comes to rethinking business, and one such company is Uber. You have seen how Uber has transformed the way that it embraces online travel and how it has changed the landscape in the South African market. I've got a very short speech to welcome you. The next thing is for me to introduce our new, not so new, Minister of Tourism, who will be joining us shortly to deliver his very first eTourism Summit address. Minister just recently joined us, coming from his former portfolio of Minister of Science and Technology. So he's not new in this kind of industry. He has been a politician since 1994, well, a cabinet minister since 1994. And at this stage, I'm told that the minister is on his way. Ladies and gentlemen, put our hands together for our Minister of Tourism.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Minister of Tourism, Mr. Joe Thomas.
Good morning. Why do I get the feeling that I'm being followed? Uber followed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, geeks, and tourist people, good morning and welcome to the 2014 E-Tourism Africa Summit. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning with you, with people who are at the very edge of leadership and innovation in digital travel technology. You are leading from the front in applying technology to market our destination and to create a better experience for our visitors. Now, as you know, as a former Minister of Science and Technology, and I was there for quite a long time, I have particular appreciation for how rapidly and profoundly digital technology is changing the way in which the tourism industry approaches its business. It is probably the case for most industries, in fact, but in tourism in particular, the application of technology is opening up a direct artery between markets, trade partners, and influencers in the consumer buyer cycle and the media. It is changing the way that tourists interact with destinations and with each other. These technology arteries present us with a cost-effective route to market ourselves, enabling business to build personal relationships with their customers, spurring word-of-mouth validation, and giving tourism product owners the means to set them apart in an increasingly competitive environment. The South African industry abounds with examples of successful entrepreneurs embracing the opportunities presented in this new world. Vamos Township Tours, operating from Langa, just 10 minutes from here, has built its competitiveness and its success through social media and digital review platforms. The owner, Sibiwe Mbila, who is here with us today, has built his business from scratch into a very successful tour operator enterprise, creating jobs and making truly meaningful and sustainable contributions to development in his community. 10 years ago, neither Sibiwe nor I could possibly have imagined that digital technology would so dramatically alter the way that the travel industry operates. Sibiwe had no idea that such a powerful platform would have so profound an effect on his business at minimal cost. And I never thought that I would be taking an Uber vehicle to the Cape Town International Convention Center to prepare for the opening of the e-Tourism Africa Summit. This rapid change also plays out on a global scale. Consider for a moment that international traveler arrivals took 62 years to surpass the 1 billion mark, from a 1950 baseline of only 25 million to 1 billion in 2012, 62 years. This represents a compound annual growth of just over 4%. Now compare this to the growth of social media. By the end of 2004, Facebook had just 1 million users. 8 years later, they had surpassed 1 billion users, a staggering compound annual growth rate of 137%. We can also be certain that more rapid changes and disruption of business models are to follow. The ongoing innovation that exists at the intersection of technology, travel, and tourism will require all of us to constantly rethink travel, the theme of this summit. This is also a key part of the mandate of SA Tourism, our destination marketing organization. South Africa has a very dominant and valued online presence on global travel platforms. I must say I am really very encouraged by the growth of online travel bookings to South Africa through SA Tourism's online travel agency partners. In 2011, we had just over 150,000 international passengers booking through these partners' platforms. Just 2 years later, in 2013, this number had grown by 87% to reach 285,000 international passengers in 2 years. These results are no coincidence, of course. They are possible as a result of SA Tourism and industry's presence on various partner platforms like TripAdvisor, partner online travel agencies like Expedia, and so on. SA Tourism has taken various initiatives to adapt our marketing efforts to respond to the opportunities presented by this changing marketing landscape. For example, the Meet South Africa campaign recently invited 14, 9 international and 5 local, bloggers to come and meet South Africa and share their perspectives via various social media platforms. This campaign, now in its second year, has proved an ideal, authentic, first-hand lens through which these online influencers have been able to make the story of meeting South Africa to their audience. Take a look at this video clip and it will demonstrate this. Okay, we give it a round of applause. I'm not asking you to applaud me, I'm asking you to applaud the people who put together this great clip. You know, those of you who've been around for a while and who've seen me on the stage, I'm normally fairly relaxed when I come on stage. I've been around a long time, you know. But today, my gosh, was I nervous. You know, so I've never been so choreographed in my life. And you know, 1 foot wrong, I sort of get the feeling that, you know, this is Hollywood, and if I step a foot wrong, they say, okay, back, action, you know, replay. There you are. So forgive my nervousness, because I still feel that somebody's watching me, somebody's following me. I dare not set a foot wrong. But as we've seen from the blog, the evidence suggests amply what we all actually know in this room, that meeting South Africa is one of the most remarkable stories to tell. Digital marketing continues to evolve at lightning speed, and our commitment is to remain on the cusp of this curve. I encourage you to continue to rethink travel in order to build your businesses, to enhance our destinations offering, and to meet the demands of increasingly tech-savvy international and domestic travelers. I also want to challenge you all today, in particular product owners and attraction managers, to further create an enabling environment that allows our visitors to share their travel memories. Let us share our bandwidth, or as most of you would know it, our free Wi-Fi in layperson's terms, and broaden the marketing platform. It's very important. It's a very important part of marketing strategy. We have succeeded in various ways in getting tourists to visit us. Now let us enable them to share their unique experiences with their friends. They take pictures and video clips at World Heritage Sites, National Park watering holes, inner city precincts, on the pavements outside hotels, and at iconic landscapes. And of course, the ever-popular selfie has increased this need to share experiences. I can never quite understand it. You know, everyone walks with a camera in his or her pocket these days, everyone. And then you think that you're ready to pose for a photograph, and there's somebody there to take the photograph, and they say, I want a selfie. I don't understand the difference, but it's true. People love selfies for some reason. But the fact of the matter is that these pictures are what sells the destination. These pictures go home, go to their friends, and these pictures tell a story. And they're real, and they're credible, and it represents unmediated communication. And modern-day tourists want to share these pictures instantaneously with family and friends, online, on peer-to-peer websites like TripAdvisor, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and via Twitter. But because of exorbitant data roaming costs, on mobile networks, sharing by international visitors can become very expensive. In other words, it poses an inhibiting cost burden on our most important brand ambassadors and marketers, namely ordinary tourists who want to share our story with potential visitors. So I think we should be challenged as product owners and managers of tourist attractions to free up broadband. We are living in a new world, and we cannot be penny wise, pound foolish. This is part of keeping our competitive edge as we creatively rethink travel. So I think I've done my job more or less. I haven't spoken for too long. I can see you're buoyant and you're in the mood for a long and serious conference. And so I'd like to welcome all of you to the summit. Unfortunately, I'm not going to stay with you and be here throughout. I'd like to, because I'm sure there's a lot to learn and a lot to share with each other. And of course, there are inspiring stories to be told. And as I lead you, so that you can get on with your work, I would invite you now to look at Siviwe's inspiring story. Thank you very much.
My name is Siviwe Mbila. I'm the owner of Vamos Township Tours and the founder of Happy Fit Youth Project. I started working in tourism in 2007. I worked as a freelance guide for different companies. And when I started meeting clients and talking to them and do these tours, they were putting my name over the internet. At that time, I could not use a computer. I didn't understand how the internet works at all. And I saw the people now were calling me without me knowing. And when I asked them, they told me that they found my name on the internet. And I asked them, how did you do that? And they told me there's something called TripAdvisor. My business started growing more and more, that I needed more people to be part of the business. Today we formed a company called Vamos Township Tours. It's a Spanish word, means let's go. Today this business has grown, from driving an old vehicle, 20-year-old microbus, today driving a 2012 Hyundai H1. About 80% of the business you get, it's TripAdvisor. And without TripAdvisor, we're never going to reach where we are today. When I learned about TripAdvisor, what TripAdvisor does for the business, it was so amazing because now I did not have to say I'm the best tourist guide. Come to me, I'll do the best tour. The people who came were the ones who were saying this all for me. And what was amazing for me was this marketing tool was for free. Before TripAdvisor, you will meet a client and you will never see the client again, or be able to talk with the client in terms of business, And when TripAdvisor came through, it opened a platform whereby now, if someone has finished doing the tour with us, I can be able to carry on talking to them. What I like about TripAdvisor, it's also a reminder to the client that I did this tour, I've met Siviwe, I've been in London. So when you meet a friend who's coming to Cape Town, for example, to South Africa, they always say, make sure you go to Langa Township and do this tour. The children here growing there with all the challenges they are faced here, which I know as well since I was living here. For my first time to see Cape Point, Table Mountain, all the nice places in Cape Town, it was in 2007. You can grow up here to be an adult, but you don't know these places, which are very, very nice. And they are very close, but they are very far. So that is why through collecting the kids, teaching them the dance, it was a way for them to expose these kids in a very young age that there's a world outside this place. And that going to help them to dream bigger. You know, not to set goals according to what they see in front of them. Today, we have the capacity of bringing clients in, they're donating, helping the kids with school uniform, they bring clothes, in winter they get gloves, the blankets, all the stuff, and without supervisor, all this was never going to be possible. And they study also in nice schools. So for 10 of them now that we managed through the clients with the supervisor, that they are funding and supporting the children from here. If you're running a business, supervisor will take your business from the bottom and put it on top. A supervisor will be a marketing tool that you don't even have to spend a cent. All you need to do is to provide quality. And when you provide quality, that increases your business, it makes you more professional, and it attracts more clients. I always emphasize quality, passionate about what you do, and the clients will put your name there, and everyone will come to your business, and the business will grow. And will employ lots of people and make a big difference in South Africa like I did through TripAdvisor.
Well, good morning from me as well. Media, if you could please make your way to your interviews with the Minister, he's ready for you. The pre-arranged media. So that was your ad break brought to you by Sandiwe. So thank you so much for coming. It's so good to be here again. I'm not going to spend any time waffling. I'd like to introduce to you the founder and CEO of E-Tourism Frontiers, Mr. Damian Cook. If you could welcome him on stage, please.
For those of you who are familiar with Game of Thrones, we have all of those kingdoms represented here today to speak to you over the next few days. So it's a pleasure to welcome you back again. For those of you who are back with us, having attended other summits, and for those of you who this is your first event, welcome to the first E-Tourism Africa Summit. As William mentioned, my name is Damian Cook. I'm the founder and CEO of E-Tourism Frontiers. For those of you who are going to be talking about the event on social media today, please use the hashtag #ETAS14. So welcome. If anyone's wondering what a hashtag is, you're definitely in the right room. Hopefully you will by the end of next few days. I'm sure everybody who's familiar with how to use a hashtag, and please use it across all the platforms. So I founded E-Tourism Frontiers as an initiative almost coming on to 8 years ago now, to start developing a great use of technology, social media, online distribution in emerging markets, both here in Africa, in Kenya, where I'm based, where we were founded, and then throughout the rest of Africa, now in all emerging markets around the world. And it's an area where we've seen tremendous growth. You saw some of the numbers that the Minister quoted there. And we've seen emerging markets really start to embrace this technology and use it to put themselves on a level playing field with the rest of the world. Something that Savio's video and story there really emphasized the way this can be done. And that's what this event is all about. So to get started with my opening presentation, I'm going to talk to you about what's happening in the world of tourism, what's happening in the world of technology, and how the two are merging together. I'm going to talk about some of the opportunities for you as businesses, some of the challenges that you face in business globally, regionally, and here in South Africa. And out of that, we'll see the agenda of what we're going to cover over the next 2 days from all of our international speakers. Now, every technology conference I visit tends to start the same way. A lot of speakers, when they speak about technology, get up and inevitably put on a clip with lots of amazing facts, figures, and statistics, normally accompanied by really irritating techno music. There's probably several other speakers now deleting slides because I've said that. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bombard you with lots of facts and figures and irritating techno music. Actually, yes, I am. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, those weren't real statistics, so please, I hope I'm seeing anyone taking notes there. But let's talk about some really important, some key statistics that we do need to be aware of. And this is a key one that Forrester reported recently, that by 2016, half of all the dollars spent in the US in real estate will have been influenced online. That's a huge statistic when you consider the influence that online is having in every element of retail sales. Like half of retail sales will soon have been influenced by online in some way. And the same is true in the travel sphere as well. In terms of market position, we're now looking at 60% of all travel being not just researched online, but booked, bought, and sold in an online environment as well. 96% of travelers polled at airports and asked what was your primary resource and information tool for deciding where you're going to travel, said the internet. And that's generating a huge amount of business. Expected to possibly double this year, well over 390, well over 400 billion possibly in sales. So a very dynamic, strong, and lucrative industry. Something that we need to make sure is a core and integral part of our destinations and our travel businesses. Because we are seeing challenges out there. As online reaches such a dominant position in the market, and we've moved well beyond the position where at these conferences we used to talk to you about something about the online being the future, something to be aware of in the future. It's very much present now. We're seeing challenges here in our destination, particularly in destinations that rely on certain old-school models of tourism. The one being hit the hardest at the moment are tour operators, something that's important to a lot of African destinations. But online's really hitting them hard. KPMG currently has 49% of tour operators in Europe is in a state of financial decline. And 24 of them were bankrupted between 2011 and 2013, including, of course, the Thomas Cook Group. Now, the recession was blamed for a lot of that. But it was really online that drove a lot of that. And it was change in customer behavior, it was change in the way people were booking travel, and it was the lack of customized and dynamic travel options that tour operators were offering. And the change is being recognized out there in market. But many of us here in the source markets, in the destinations, aren't accepting this. There is a real trend in the industry, and it's amazing with such a dynamic industry we have in tourism, how many of us resist change and resist challenges when we see, and think we can hang on to those old ways of doing business and those old models and try and fight the future as it approaches. But we need to face these facts. because it's happening in the market. TUI, one of the largest tour operator suppliers to destinations, particularly in Africa, is currently upgrading the way that they sell and package tours. They're reinvesting a lot of that old investment they had in holiday shops and brochure-driven travel sales into their digital platforms. But we do resist this as an industry. I see this again and again. Does anybody know who this is? Who this gentleman is? Any literature fans out there? No? This is Douglas Adams. Anyone familiar with Douglas Adams? Who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to Happiness? Well done, thank you. Douglas Adams is no longer with us anymore, but there's a quote that he said about technology. It's very true of people often that work in business these days. He said that the thing with technology is that anything that was in the world when you're born is normal and ordinary. It's just a natural part of the way that the world works for you. Anything that's invented between when you're 15 and 35 is new and exciting and revolutionary. You can very possibly build a career and a new business into it. But anything invented after you're 35 is against the natural order of things and most likely probably awful. And you're going to dislike it. And we still do see that resistance to technology and social media out there. Sometimes it's tied into what we're used to and what we're comfortable with, and it can be challenging. But there are huge opportunities out there for us as well. We need to see how travel has evolved over the years, because if anything, the evolution of travel has been constant and it's becoming faster. We're seeing faster and faster evolution and change. And often when we work with destinations around the world or with private sector organizations, we find that somewhere in that evolutionary process they got stuck. They tried to hold on to one of those business models and they didn't move ahead. And that's from the old phase of high street and brochure-driven travel sales, where people used to visit their holiday shops, look in a brochure, and if you weren't in that brochure, you weren't in business. And the industry was controlled by the commission relationship between those travel sellers and travel agents and the suppliers. Then as online started to appear, we shifted into that period where suddenly online bookings became possible, but very few people could actually do it. Couldn't get their inventory out there, couldn't get visible, couldn't take real-time bookings. So online travel agencies filled that space. The travel agent model shifted online. This is where the OTAs, Expedia, Booking.com, other OTAs really came into their own in terms of strength and market position. But as the internet improved and more people improved their websites, improved their ability to take online bookings, the challenge for them was getting people to come to them and make those direct bookings. And the only way they could achieve that, of course, was through search. And using search engines, using Google predominantly, to deliver traffic and conversion to them. So this is when the search engines began to play a key role in the relationship between search engines and suppliers driving those travel sales. But recently we've moved into a fourth phase of evolution as customers play a much stronger role in the referral of bookings and sales. Content produced by your customers and clients referring to other of their friends and family online and driving them back to your bookings and sales. And that's created a very user-driven tourism market, driven by social media and by customers as well. But now we're seeing another phase of travel starting to emerge, which is the travel sharing economy. It's something you've probably all heard about. We've just seen an example here of the minister using Uber to actually access business, where he is the one who goes out to market and offers his business to taxi services. And it's happening in the accommodation space as well. Airbnb, their huge position in market, has been driven by what the market wants. But we see again and again destinations fighting these travel sharing platforms. Some cities have blocked Airbnb from existing. They've taken legal action to stop them from booking accommodation and rooms with people because they see it as unregulated, ungraded, unmanageable, and a threat. But what they need to recognize is that it's where the market is headed. They have a lot of customers. They have a lot of interest. We cannot dictate the behavior of our customers, and it's that challenge that holds us back. We can't be in a position where we're playing catch up with the market. We need to look at what the market wants and where the market is headed, because more and more in the new realm that we're working in with social media, it is our customers that are controlling the marketplace. If we don't recognize and accept their needs and what they want, we're going to fall behind. And sometimes it's our product. Sometimes it's not just the platform that we haven't shifted onto social media, it's that our product doesn't suit our customers. This is very true at the moment in the music world. The music industry is suddenly realizing now that people don't want albums anymore. They're signing up artists and they're releasing albums full of music, but people are predominantly buying single songs and downloading single songs. It is the customers that have dictated the music industry the way they want to consume music. And then when you look at their model and realize that the album structure doesn't work for customers anymore. And we often see this in tourism as well. I work in lots of destinations around the world and in Africa. I'm based in Kenya. Kenya's having a real tourism crisis at the moment, as you've probably seen. Our tourism arrivals are suffering. Some of that is due to security. But there's a lot of focus on security at the moment in a lot of the crisis sessions that I've spoken at and held. But the arrival numbers were dropping before the crisis has emerged in Kenya. And it's one of these great examples of the product versus what the market's looking for. Because all the great social media and spin and buzz in the world won't help you if your product isn't of appeal in the market. A couple of weeks ago, I was asked to speak to a conference of hoteliers on the coast in Kenya, coastal hotels. And they were talking about issues of security. They were talking about the way that they take bookings and the way they're selling. But I said to them in the presentation, we really need to look at your product. You need to take a look at yourself as well and see if it really applies in the market. One of Kenya's challenges is that their peak year was 1986. That was an amazing year for Kenya. Out of Africa, that film came out in 1985, and everybody who saw Out of Africa wanted to go to Africa and wanted to go to Kenya specifically with that film. And tourism boomed for the next few years. They didn't really move on from that period. They failed to recognize market threats, including South Africa, who became their main competitor from 1994 onwards. But their product also didn't move with the times. So I had to tell these here on the coast, it looks and feels dated. The way that they're selling it is in a very dated way. And it's a hard lesson for them to take. But I really had to challenge them. And I said, I've been looking at your websites, I've been looking at your brochures, and I keep seeing the same thing. Every time I look at it, I see this guy. Every one of your websites, every brochure has a chef standing there holding a big pile of fruit. I started thinking, what is this thing? I'm calling it the fruit pyramid. Why do you all have a fruit pyramid in your publicity material? Is there a market out there that says we really want to go to a destination with lots of fruit? Ideally fruit that can be stacked into a nice neat pile. Why do we all have this fruit pyramid everywhere that I go? So then when I visited some of these fruit pyramid hotels, I started seeing the same things again and again in their hotels. And one thing was common, and I found this amazing, in every single hotel I went to. You go to their buffet, they all have buffets. You go and sit down to eat a meal, and there's 4 guys on the side of the room in zebra shirts with musical instruments, ready to play, and I heard the same song in every single hotel. Every single band would get started, and it was this one. All together now. Let's sing. I had to break it to the Christmas sax. What about Christmas? Sorry, Christopher sax. This is a horrible song. I'm sorry if there's any Christopher fans out there. But really, I have to tell them, this is not a classic. This is not the Rolling Stones or the Beatles. It's Christopher. And then I realized, when did this song come out? It was 1986. It was the peak year of tourism. They got stuck. And this is the problem. We need to look at our product, because if we don't have the right product to match to the right people, something we talk about in a lot of the sessions today, how you match the right content to the right clients. We have to have the right content for their clients for this to work. And when I looked at their clients in the hotels, I realized, I don't want to be mean. I'm sure she looked great in 1986. But I realized when I looked at the numbers that their average visiting demographic was increasing by year every year. They're selling to the same aging population who are loving Christopher. So you can see it in their demographics. So you need to look at who you're selling to and how you're delivering that content to them, and get out of that old school tourism model. Some of you may have seen this metaphor before. I use it a lot to describe the way that we used to manage tourism. And if any of us have been in the tourist industry for a long time, we know how easy it used to be. In the 1970s through 1980s, even early 90s, here in the destinations, managing tourism was so easy. It was basically sheep farming. You had your dogs, your sheep dogs, out there in the market, in Europe, in the US, and every year they would gather together a nice big fat flock of tourists for you and send them to you in the destination. And as long as you had that contract with them, you knew those dogs would work and drive those sheep to you. Your job was to open that gate every year, to let them in, feed, water them, shear the profits off them, and kick them out the other side. And a couple of times a year, we'd go to World Travel Market, into Indaba, and other meetings. We'd pat that dog on the head and give him a biscuit of a nice, big, healthy commission, and know he'd send us a flock next year. This doesn't work anymore. And it's been the influence of the consumers and user-generated content and user control of the market that has changed the market for us. Because simply put, we work in a user-controlled market. Because what your customers want is the way the customers have an experience with you and the way they communicate that will market your business effectively. So basically on the sheep farm now, the sheep are in control. So what does the tourist industry look like now in terms of that metaphor? What does our sheep-controlled farm look like? It's something like this.
Bloody animals.
There's less of them. You can't tell them what to do, and if they don't like it, they will let you know. And the review system has proved this to us. So we need to move on, and we need to recognize that we're in a user-controlled marketplace. We also need to look at who we're selling to as well. In all the destinations that I work with, when I look at destinations that are succeeding in the current market, in the modern market, a common trend I see is that the markets that are succeeding, the destinations that are succeeding, are the ones that focus on yield over arrivals. Destinations where tourism ministers don't get up and talk about next year we want 2 million tourists, 3 million tourists, 10 million tourists, but talk about how much money they will make from the tourists they get. And focus on increasing the total revenue that they make per tourist that comes to the country. Because one trend we're seeing is people who are traveling less but spending more when they do. So we need to think about less tourists, more money. Simpler model is how much yield we get from each tourist. Because the same money or more money that we make from a lot of tourists can be made from fewer tourists. Or the same number of tourists year on year if they're increasing what they spend for their product. And we're seeing that in the way that people are spending. This report from SCIF this year showed this. The average spend is increasing, moving up 3% just in the last year. So people are traveling less, but when they do travel, they are spending more on that travel. So we're talking about small. So they want more. What we do and what we offer our clients, and how to prove that. What are the high-value experiences that we can offer people? These amazing, once-in-a-lifetime experiences they'll have with us. And that's going to repay you both in terms of profit, but also in terms of the stories that they share, the stories that they tell, because they're going to be greater experiences. Experiences they're going to want to tell their family and friends that they had and share with them. Because once we bring social media into play, we bring search into play, the market is too crowded and too loud to be making bland, generic statements. It's not just we have a great hotel, we have a nice hotel, we have a beautiful view. It has to be unique. It has to be central to our product. It has to be something that really engages those potential travelers. If we go back to that survey that I mentioned at the start, so this is travelers polled at point of departure and airport. What was your primary source of information for deciding where you're going to travel? Internet sits there at 96%, 95, 96% in terms of influence, and then that drops down through family and friend recommendations, brochures, magazines, books, TV, newspapers, travel agents, 800 number, travel groups, and radio. We need to ask ourselves, where's our focus? Where's our focus of our budget? Where's our focus of our time on that graph? Is it pushed towards the top end of that graph? Are we still spending more on brochures and printing material than we are on our online presence and social media? The numbers bear out a case to change the way that we do business in that respect. But what we need to be aware of is the number 2 on that graph, which is incredibly important. 66% family and friend recommendations. Still incredibly influential, but that itself has evolved. How did we used to get that family and friend recommendation? We used to go to a wedding, we used to go to a dinner party, ask someone where they've been recently. Let's say I visited South Africa. How was it? It was great. Many years ago, they may show you photos and print photos of their trip. Where is all of that happening now? Almost entirely online and in social media, to a large extent on Facebook, is where people are sharing their travel experiences. And that's what they're talking about online. And it has a huge influence. It really merges those two things together once you bring social media into play. So social is where 40% of all online time is happening now. Pretty amazing to consider that includes business and government. Yet at the same time, as I'm talking about how fantastic all this online stuff is, there's been a decline in web use by up to 70% over the last couple of years. That sounds strange when I quote that figure, but I'm talking about traffic to websites. This is recorded traffic into websites. Some large corporations have seen tremendous drops, Coca-Cola quoting huge drops of traffic into their .com website, but equally massive increases of traffic into their Facebook pages, into their social media profiles. And And this is being driven by the market. It's something you will hear a lot about from the social networks today. The shift away from websites and away from the search to website model into the social search model and use of social media. And it's a huge potential audience for you. We used to talk about what countries we should be marketing to. Should we all go to China was the buzzword for a long time in the travel market, just based on the number of people and population there. Well, Facebook itself, almost 1.3 billion people active on Facebook. Think of that as a source market. Think of that as a potential audience that you can reach. What makes that market different to so many other markets is that each of these 1.3 billion people are sharing content on a daily basis on average with 250 people. And often doing that once or twice a day. And if we think about the potential reach of that exponentially, 1.2 billion by 250, the reach and the power of that media is more popular and powerful than TV and print media combined. It's incredibly influential. I used to ask this question differently. It's much easier to do it this way now, but I will give the caveat that there is always one. Is anybody in the room here not on Facebook? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have our first year. There he is. There he is. There's always one, and it doesn't matter what country I'm in, there's always one guy. I don't like it. And that's fine. You can not like it. But there you go. Everybody in the room here, 1 in 7 people now on the planet is on Facebook and has a regular social presence that they manage. And a buzzword of convergence that people have talked about for years, the converging of media platforms, the converging of technologies. Something we talk about when we get all the speakers together this afternoon for our panel session. How do they work together? We're starting for the first time to see real, true convergence in the marketplace, not just of different social media platforms, but of conventional media as well. All of it happening in real time in converged social media. Anybody here not a Game of Thrones fan? Did anybody not understand that opening film? We all Game of Thrones fans here? Because I need to check this before I say something. Has everybody seen season 3 of Game of Thrones? Anybody not seen season 3 of Game of Thrones? Okay, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to provide the ultimate spoiler. But something really bad is going to happen. For those of you who haven't watched it yet, it's not going to be very nice. When that happened, there was this incredible social media movement of people in shock at what they'd just seen on Game of Thrones. And people that realized that their partners, friends hadn't seen the episode yet, filmed them while they watched that episode and posted their red wedding reaction videos online so that people could see their reaction to that scene in that infamous episode. So we had people literally consuming conventional television media, sharing that experience live with their friends via social media. Total convergence of both on and offline media into one. So is there an information overload? Yes, there is. People are being exposed to more content, more imagery, and more messages than ever. And there is something happening where people are starting to be particularly overexposed to images. Images have a lot less impact than they used to on people. It's become white noise to some extent, particularly these very conventional travel images, which used to impress people so much on a brochure. Someone is now looking at Instagram all day and constantly scrolling down an Instagram feed and looking at constant photos one after another. And if you watch an Instagram user scrolling through that feed, you'll see it has to be something pretty remarkable to make them stop and look at that photo. Something has to grab their attention and hold their attention. It's not just these bland, generic images that we use to communicate. We need strong, unique messages. And nothing sells like experience. Because there is one psychological factor that drives the use of social media. One thing that really makes all of us use social media. And what is that? Why are we all doing it? Because we're showing it. A lot of it is driven by brag. By I'm better than you. I have better technology. People are taking selfies, and it's because they're sharing that experience immediately. And so much of that selfie culture is about, I'm here and you're not. Look what I'm doing, look who I'm with, look what I'm doing, look what you're not doing. So travel gives people the best experience to brag about. Because they can now say, you're back in your cubicle, in your drizzly city back in Europe, look where I am on this beach in South Africa, look at where I am in Spain, look at the amazing experience that I'm having. It gives them something to brag about. Now, fortunately for us in the industry, travel is the most popular shared experience on social media. More than your relationships, more than having children, more than having babies, more than getting married. Now, of course, people generally travel more than they have children. Not in some cases. But it is the most popular activity for people to share. Now this is key. 72% of Americans told were updating social media and updating Facebook at least once a day, in most cases twice a day, while they were traveling. And this is critical. They're not waiting till they get home after their trip to sit down and talk about what I did in South Africa and write those experiences and share their photos. They're doing it while they travel. They're too busy when they get back from the trip. They want the opportunity to show what they're doing on a daily basis. And it's a committed thing for them. They want to do at the end of every day, share these experiences they're having with people. So we need to enable them to do it, as the Minister said, because it's a huge opportunity. So the majority of travel content is now being posted while travelers are in destination. And the fantastic thing for us is that it's created a vicarious travel environment. So people now have their friends and family traveling alongside with them. And in marketing terms, this is gold. Because your best marketers and your most active marketing agency you now have working for you are your tourists and are your clients. And we've all seen it if we work in the travel industry. When we train in lodges, camps, and hotels with people, we look at their staff and see their behavior. And you see the same thing over and over again. The couple arrive at the hotel with their luggage. They're shown to their room. What's the first thing they do when they walk into the room? Normally the wife, sometimes the husband, will tell their spouse, put that luggage down, do not put anything into this room until I take photos of it. I don't want your stuff lying around everywhere in my photos. And they will shoot the best possible photos of the room, of the view from the room. We've all seen our clients coming to our restaurants now to sit down and eat. What's the first thing they do when they sit down to eat? They take a photograph of their food with their phone. It's one of the most popular things shared on Instagram. When we train in hotels, lodges, and camps, we're now having to train chefs and tell them, you need to make your food more photogenic. They think it's insane, but it works. As soon as they make the plates look better, arrange the food better on the plate, more photos get taken, more content gets shared. Look at this photograph taken up in Kenya in one of our game parks. This is a safari guide out on a game drive in Masai Mara. Every single client sharing that experience, recording that experience. Now there's 6 clients in that 4-wheel drive on that safari, but in reality, if we consider how many people are actually seeing that content, there will be over 1,000 people in that safari vehicle having that experience alongside their friends. And they have one logical reaction to seeing those amazing visuals, which is, I want to do that same thing. I want to visit. I want to go on safari. And we're so fortunate in Africa, because if people are going to shoot photos of their hotel rooms, it's very hard sometimes in an urban hotel to get people to want to take a photo of that room. It can be a challenge. We have to think of creative ways to get them to do it. But if that's our room, job's done the second they see the room. This swimming pool, they might share that photograph. This swimming pool, they're definitely going to share that photograph. The richness of experiences, the amazing experiences we offer clients in Africa is logical and fantastic content for those clients to share. And do your marketing for you. This is your strongest marketing agency, as I said, that you have working for you. Because the audience they're sharing it with are not a passive audience. They don't sit and disregard those pictures. They like them. They comment on them. They share them. They engage constantly with those tourists and destinations. And those engagement points, when they engage with your client's content, are marketing opportunities for you. As we talk about mobile shortly, I'll talk about how you can do that and access those clients. There's something to hear as well from our speakers from the social networks. So we need to be part of this process. We need to be encouraging our clients to share that content and ensure that any referrals that we get are coming back to us. Because nothing beats a direct referral. While training recently, I went to train at camp in southern Kenya in Amboseli. On my way between the airstrip and the lodge, I took these 4 photographs and posted them on Facebook just on arrival. Immediately, somebody that I know who's planning a trip to Kenya commented on that photo just within 2 minutes, as you can see, and said, put that camp on the list for our next visit. A direct referral from me to them based on the photos that I shared. This is somebody that works with me. We were training together at some camps in Masai Mara. She is in her 20s, so again, it's often tied into age. She doesn't use Facebook so much, she uses Instagram constantly. So she posted these 2 photographs onto Instagram. Immediately responses from her friends, incredible. Wow, someone who said, I was going to Spain, but I'm going there now, and did come and booked a trip. An immediate booking off the back of that photo. Now this is just the 2 of us. Imagine this happening constantly. The amount of referrals that you're receiving from people sharing this content is huge. And there's huge potential there if you're not encouraging this. But as I said, we're a change-resistant industry. We can be a difficult industry sometimes. And some of us look at this fantastic opportunity that we have and say, wow, what a fantastic opportunity. Let's kill it. And what's the most effective way to kill people being able to do this is to take away their Wi-Fi, don't have Wi-Fi or charge them for that Wi-Fi. That is insanity. These are your brand ambassadors, people that want to market your product, and you disable them from doing it for the sake of $10 or $20, or only make the Wi-Fi available in the lobby so they have to leave their room and go down and sit in pajamas and post their things at night. Free Wi-Fi is as expected as water, power, or any other amenity by modern travelers. This poll that Condé Nast did this year said that free breakfast and Wi-Fi were the two essential ingredients that people now expect from a hotel. The most wanted thing they wanted from a hotel: free breakfast and free Wi-Fi. So it's more important than anything else, and it is logical that you provide it. If it's expensive and difficult for you to provide, increase your rates. It's an example of how you add value to your clients. I will always book a hotel with free Wi-Fi over one that doesn't offer it, even if I'm paying an extra $10, $20 a day, just not to have the hassle and to know that I'll be online throughout. Don't do things like this. I was in Madagascar recently, training the Madagascar Tourist Board, and they took me out to show some of the projects of Lima Reserve just outside Antananarivo, where they take lemurs that have been rescued and rehabilitated and put them in there. Amazing. These lemurs were all over us while we were there. Took these amazing photographs. On my way out, I saw this sign which told me, if you've taken photographs, you're not allowed to put them on the internet. And if you do, we'll sue you. Wow. Total insanity. A, how are you ever going to police that? Turn up, sorry, remember that photo? You posted it with a bailiff. But why would you do this? Why would you do this for the sake of copyright? You're taking away your best marketing opportunity. You also need to look at how people are sharing these experiences and how they're talking about these things online. Because that's changed a lot as well in recent years, the way that people communicate these experiences. Now, I know if any of you were here last year, I always use the same way of demonstrating this. It's become a bit of a tradition. I'm going to retire it this year. This is the last time I'm going to use this example of the way that people use instant communication. And I'm doing it especially because Helena is here. And I'm going to introduce Helena soon. This will be her last conference here, so she's moving on to another position within TripAdvisor. I hope you did not want that announced. Totally out there now. Sorry. Having like a public outing. But I've always used it for this example, so I'm going to use it again. And it's an example from the world of romance. Helena and I have been working together for, 7 years now, So we could have built a very special bond. So let's say I was in love with her, and I wanted to communicate to her the way that the fact that I was in love with her. But I'm shy, I'm nervous, I don't really want to do it. How would I get that message to her traditionally if I wanted to communicate my love to her? How would I communicate it to her? I might do something like this. I could send you a message like this. Not that. That's all. Traditionally, I might have written her a love letter. I might have told her something like this. I might have said, Helena, had I the heavens embroidered cloths and wrought with the gold and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths, the night and the light and the half-light, I would spread those cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. So, Helena, I've spread my dreams under your feet. So, tread softly, my darling, because you tread upon my dreams. And that's beautiful, right? There's so much in that, more than just love. It's unrequited love, it's social standing, it's wanting that which you can never have, all communicated in these words. But a young person today or a teenager is very unlikely to send this to somebody. You're not going to see this in a WhatsApp message. How are they going to communicate their love today? They're going to take their thumb and they're going to send them this. It's not terribly romantic, but it's the modern equivalent of this, and it works for them because it's immediate, to the point, and it's visual. And for them, it carries a lot of information in a single message. And it's something we're seeing right across the internet. Every year, less text and more visuals. Much more use of photographs and visuals to communicate. The other great thing in marketing terms is it takes away the need for language. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You can immediately understand that image when you see it, regardless if it's German, French, Italian, Spanish, Swahili. And you see it in social media use. 2 years ago, I was training in the Greek islands. We went from island to island to the Greek islands, training small hotels and bed and breakfast. Now, during that time, I wanted to tell people, I wanted to show off where I was. I couldn't be bothered to sit down and write about every island I was on, so I just posted photos and videos of what I was seeing, what I was doing, what I was eating. And when we talk about Facebook later, you'll know that one of the key things that you need to focus on is engagement, and people engaging with your content. So people liking, commenting, sharing on the content that you post is critical. And if you look at every single one of those pieces of content that I posted in Greece, there's a lot of engagement on every single one of them. Photos and videos are so much more likely to be engaged with than text alone. I'm sure Billy will take that up in his presentation. So visuals can travel far and fast. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Istanbul. I was walking down the street in Galata in Istanbul, and as I was walking past a gate, I saw a cat. This cat jumped up on the gate and sat there on the gate. I'm not a huge cat fan, but I thought, that's pretty cute. Cat sitting on a gate. I'll take a photo of it. So I took out my phone and took a photo of this cat sitting on a gate. As soon as I took that photo, someone else stopped and saw me taking a photo of the cat and came over to see what I was looking at and took a photo of the cat as well. And then someone else did the same thing. And then someone else. And then several people. And then some families joined in. And within a couple of minutes, there was like a paparazzi scrum around this poor cat, taking photos of this cat sitting on a gate because I started it. But think about the exposure that that cat received that day. If all those people posted those photos onto Facebook, the reach of that cat started spreading around the world, out to people seeing it on people's Facebook walls, people sharing that photo, people liking that photo, saying how cute the cat is, writing comments on that photo. Probably within a day or two, that single image of that cat sitting on the gate was probably reaching over 1,000 people. Just the profile of that cat that I thought was cute sitting on the gate. So it's amazing how fast this content can be spread, and visuals spread faster than anything else. Lenny, could you have it mic? Sorry, one housekeeping story. The guys on a mic at the back of something. It's getting away from the back. Yeah, so huge reach. Is don't tell people about your products, show them your products. And that's when it's much more effective. Photos and videos are incredibly important with your product. And the technology's out there, the cameras are out there, the phones are out there to produce great visual content and get it online. So don't write great long period essays about your content, just show them what your product is and show them what the experience of coming and stay with you is. Show them your clients having that experience so they can want to have the same experience as well. So I'm going to give you a little secret marketing tip, marketing gold here. But I can't do it on the stage. Okay? So I'm going to go over here to tell you about this. I'm going to go up the stairs. So I need you to focus on me as we go up here. So if you could just focus, because I can't actually manage this from the stage, but I'm going to tell you up here about the greatest marketing terms. So if you could all just focus, please, up here. Okay, my point is that video is really hard to ignore. It holds people's attention much more effectively than anything else and doesn't allow them to be distracted. And you can hold their focus much more with a video than you can with text or even photographs. Video is incredibly powerful. And there's great tools out there to get fantastic HD video online. And we see that shift constantly increased use of video. This is a blog about adventure sports, space jumping, and skydiving. Reading all of that is going to be pretty limiting. You're not really going to get a sense of adventure sport from that. It's also going to limit only English readers and speakers are able to process that content and get what it's about. But that gives you a much more immediate message of adventure sports. It's much more appealing. If you're an adrenaline junkie, you're going to respond much more to that photograph. So when we look at blogs, for example, this is a blog about adventure travel, we're seeing less and less text and more simple photos and videos showing directly those experiences. Because if you want an adrenaline rush, if you're an adventure traveler, nothing's going to be more appealing for you than seeing these types of images. And it is the rise of GoPro cameras, of indestructible wearable cameras that enable the production of this amazing technology, and now the rise of drones and small portable aerial vehicles that can carry GoPros and produce amazing footage on the fly. So it's all about showing people an experience that inspires them and wants them to have the same experience. So a lot of this has been driven by video. YouTube has really come into its own as a search engine. People searching for specific content that they want to see, and travel is a logical thing for them to search for. Travel searches on YouTube have doubled in the last year. The people specifically going to YouTube and searching for destinations and activities that they want to do. And the great thing is that they very rarely watch that officially mandated destination videos and content or official hotel videos. They're mostly consuming content from other travelers and their experiences. So using those visual experiences of other travelers to market your product is key, as well as all those other great sharing platforms we'll talk about over the next couple of days. Presentation tomorrow on Instagram. Instagram has become huge, particularly among younger social media users. They're shifting away from the predominant use of Facebook into Instagram. Facebook, of course, has acquired Instagram, probably for that reason. But if anyone here is under 25, I'm sure use Instagram more than Facebook. Yes, yes, everyone in the room. That tends to be the case. And it's becoming one of the most common photo sharing tools for experiences. But we need to look at how we can encourage people to do that. A lot of the training we do with destinations and with hoteliers and things is, what are people likely to want to share? What's the experience, and how can we create experiences for them that they're specifically going to want to share? There's a great example of this down on the waterfront, where they've actually framed Table Mountain with a nice frame so that people can go there and take their photos. And people are constantly doing that. And I'm sure the majority of them being immediately shifted onto Instagram and other social platforms. So we need to think about and make sure that our experiences are the right experiences. This is a very important slide I use now with a lot of hotels, lodges, and camps. I never see anybody taking Instagram pictures of buffets. Nobody stands at a buffet and takes a photo of it and posts on Instagram ever. But a plate of food delivered on the table, something else happens, and they take that photo and they share it. So we need to look at what we're offering them and make sure that our experiences, which are going to be shared, are up to scratch, because that's what they're going to talk about. Not many people are going to share that photo on the right of their culinary experience. So it's all about what's called co-creation. Tourists are producing content, travelers are producing content, and it's how you use that. It's the experience you give them and how they share it. That is the process of co-creation. And there's been many successful examples of that. One of the biggest social media memes of the last year has been all about co-creation, and that's been the Pharrell Williams Happy video. Fantastic example of that here in Cape Town, where a song was released without a video, and people began making their own videos of that song all over the world. And they became all about destinations.
Zero airplay, nothing. And the next thing you know, we got the video on November 21st. All of a sudden, boom. And we were like, what's happening? Okay, first of all, people are putting up their own videos.
Yeah.
It was like no longer my song.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Yeah. Like those things. With the air, I don't care, baby, by the way.
There were hundreds of versions of this, one of the best from Cape Town actually, produced here locally, all showcasing destinations with people singing that song in different destinations. But we need to be aware that we need to manage that process though. Co-creation is great, but it is creation, and it's creative, whether we like it or not. We do need to manage that process, and some people learn to their detriments. One of the most amusing social media experiences of the last year was the Lay's create your own potato chip flavor. I don't know if you saw this, but Lay's potato chip company in America decided to create a fantastic creative co-creation tool. They said to people, you can make any flavor you want of potato chips. Put it up onto this profile, and then people can vote for them. So they can decide, do we want cheesy garlic bread, chicken and waffles, or sriracha? And people will be able to compete and vote any flavor you want. This will be fantastic. But they didn't manage it. And people quickly realized, I can put anything into this, and it will create a thing. I can put that, and it will it'll put it up there. So they did. And then they were like, really? Anything? So then it started, and it was much more fun than doing the conventional flavors. There was some fantastic flavors out there for people to vote with in that competition. So it went on and on. So good co-creation needs what's called curation. Here again, it's content that works effectively for you, and that you see that out onto your channels as well. But nothing inspires like great and genuine travel experiences. The word the minister used was genuine. People see this user-generated content as much more reliable because it's genuine and it comes from tourists who don't have an agenda to sell to them. And the best example of that we've talked about at every single conference is the Battle of Kruger. The most virally successful tourism video ever shot was shot here in South Africa. Now up to 74 million views on Facebook. One of the most watched videos, shot by a tourist, not on terribly great camera work with quality in Kruger National Park and shared. It got this huge audience viewership, 47 million views of that video. And that really showed the power of user-generated content and social media. And when we're training safari operators now out in the field, something we've really pushed is you need to have cameras in your vehicle. Because every safari guide that sees this video says the same thing. I always see that sort of thing happening, but they didn't capture it. The difference was here that it was caught on video. So more and more people now are shooting constant video while they're out there in game drives. And the great thing for Africa is that they are collecting the most amazing content. The Battle of Kruger is old school now. Let's look at some of the most amazing wildlife experiences people have been having in Africa just in the last year or so. Incredible content, all shot by tourists with their cameras in safari vehicles around Africa. So the rise of this technology is enabling amazing things to be happening. And the vital last ingredient we need to be aware of is, of course, these devices that people are bringing with them. Constant internet-connected devices. One of the reasons why we need to provide that Wi-Fi. This is a tool that isn't a telephone anymore. They're not using it to make voice calls. They have constant internet and social media access points. So people have made an integral part of their lives and are never without, including when they travel and come to visit you as tourists. And phone use is increasing constantly. 35 messages a day on average per user now. Emails opens have increased 80% in the last 6 months. 73% of users now accessing social networks via apps at least once a day. Mobile comments projected to go up to 31 billion. Something we'll talk about in a lot of sessions is the importance of mobile. But the most important thing for tourism is that location information that every piece of content posted from a smartphone carries with it. And this is the missing piece of the jigsaw for getting those friend and family recommendations back to you. If it carries that location information with the post, and that means a check-in, and it means a Facebook place that people can utilize when they come and stay with you. And the tremendous value of that check-in when people arrive at your property and immediately start sharing that experience. It's the difference between that, this is myself arriving at a camp in Kenya with no check-in and no location data, the only reference being the nearest town, which isn't going to help them find a property, and that, which is a great photo taken, having checked in and tagged that place to the camp that I stayed at. So any of my friends in Canada that see that photo and want to come and stay only need to click on that link and go and become a fan and a possible potential customer for that property. And it's a great way for maintaining relationships with the clients. Coffee shop that I went to, delivering a coffee with my name in it. Of course, the first thing I did was take that photo and tag it to that location. So we've seen the rise of what's called the silent traveler because of all this automation. When people arrive at airports, their check-in being done as they arrive via smartphones, via tablets. Less interaction at an administrative level to smooth people's travel experience. And we're seeing it in hotels via what's called the Internet of Things, the ability to control functions and features. Hotels where you can either download an app or use an in-room iPad to control the air conditioning, the temperature, to see excursions that you can book, to make dinner reservations or order room service to your room directly from a device in the room. It's becoming very common in a lot of hotel chains, this smoothing and silent passage of improved access. And that silence can be golden. When I was in Zimbabwe recently, I was crossing between Zimbabwe and Zambia on the bridge there. I don't know if any of you have done this, but I did what many people do when you cross between the two countries, which is when you're crossing the Victoria Falls Bridge, you jump off it. So I did a bungee jump off the side of the bridge. And I saw that they used that same model that a lot of people in adventure travel use, which is that after the experience, they offered me a DVD that I had to buy for about $100 of my experience. So I could show my friends that experience of jumping off the bridge. But I needed to buy a $100 DVD to do that. And that's a good little revenue stream for them because most people are going to want to share that experience and share that DVD. But I also saw that there's another opportunity to make less revenue directly, but greatly increase your profile. So I was training not long after with a balloon safari operator in Kenya who were doing the same thing. They were selling people DVDs of their balloon flights. And I said, why don't you just get them to check in on arrival at the page at the balloon base saying that they're there, and then when they get back, tell them the videos and photos of your flight are on our Facebook page. Just go there and share it to family and friends. So the way they share that experience is by going to their page, becoming a fan, and sharing those photos. You're not going to make that $100, but think of the tremendous reach of all of those photos from every single flight and what that can attain. So it's about sensible business decisions, weighing up what's going to get you the best marketing results. But it is the engagement with that content that's more essential than ever. So people liking, commenting, sharing on that content, something you'll hear about during all the presentations over the next 2 days. how critical it is that people engage with your content. If you're not seeing engagement with your content, effectively you're talking to an empty room. You need to measure, manage, and optimize that constant engagement with your content. And take it through the levels, from becoming an initial fan, through to a follower, through to active engagement, endorsing you online, and then contributing as well. Something we'll take you through this in more detail in the social media toolbox session tomorrow. So how does all this look when it all comes together and works brilliantly? Recently I was in Tanzania and stayed at an amazing camp called Greystrokes Mahali Camp. It's a chimpanzee tracking camp in the middle of nowhere on the Congo border. Some of the other tourists that were staying there while I was there were a married couple called Rick and Randy from America, who were traveling with 10 of their family friends in a big group. But these guys had every gadget known to man. iPhones, GoPros, and a small drone that they brought with them, a little remote-controlled aircraft. And I looked at the content they were producing while they stayed in the camp. They were also editing on a laptop in the camp. So what you're about to see was produced by 2 tourists staying in this camp to share with their friends back home about what they were doing at this camp. Five, 6 years ago, you would have needed to hire an ad company to make that for you, and it would have cost a fortune, a huge budget production. This was shot by tourists in the camp and shared publicly on their Facebook pages. Tremendous marketing resources produced directly by customers. This is how effective this whole process can be. Lastly, before I leave you today, a few other things you need to think about for the future. Wearable technology is a buzzword you'll hear a lot about over the next few days. Technology being wearable on your body, both in terms of cameras but also communication devices. For those of us in Africa, this is not real news. In Kenya, we have lots of wearable technology. We see it all the time. We got hands-free before anybody. But we're talking about things like the Netgear watches, the upcoming iWatch that Apple's about to release, and of course Google Glass, which a lot of people are talking about, that enables you to interact with online content directly through your field of vision, through the glasses that you're wearing. Now, a lot of this wearable technology has concerned a lot of people, privacy issues, and also they're saying that it's intruding too much on our everyday life. Is it becoming too much? One of the other popular internet memes of last year was this video. Do you remember the look up video that everybody was sharing, saying you're spending too much time on your phone and you're not socializing enough, and one day your wife will die while you're on your phone? I actually said that at the end of this poem. It was pretty grim, and it had some key messages, but I also think it was overly critical. Because there are huge opportunities that this technology enables us to have, and particularly when it comes to sharing of experiences, and particularly when people travel. It's not about looking up, it's about looking around and showing people the experiences they're having and showing them the wonders of the destinations that we have and the amazing resources we have here in Africa. And that's what it really is the power of social media for us that we need to embrace. It's the sharing of experience and these incredible experiences that people have. Now, lastly, before I leave you, there's an internet meme that it would be remiss of me not to mention, because I'm sure all of you have seen it in the last couple of weeks, and that's those buckets. I'm sure some of us may have done this. Anyone done an ice bucket challenge here? Oh, not that many. But worldwide, people have been pouring water all over themselves, ice water, in the last couple of weeks to raise money for a charity. Many people in Africa have been concerned about this because of the tremendous waste of water. They say 2 million people a week have been doing this. Think how many litres of water that we've seen wasted in this process. Now, I saw this as a potential positive that we could actually embrace as Africa and as a travel business, and all of us in the sector to actually make better use of this whole bucket challenge concept. Now, we had to come up with this idea a few days ago, and a big thanks to the guys at Flow that helped us to put this together. But this is the idea that we had for an alternative to the African bucket challenge, so the ice bucket challenge.
My name is Damian Cook from Frontiers. We work across Africa and other emerging markets, training people in the travel business to use social media to market their products even better. And like everyone in the world of social media, we've seen people recently raising millions of dollars by carrying out bucket challenges and pouring buckets of water all over themselves. But we know that in Africa, buckets of water are no laughing matter. It's how people transport water for hours every day just to get the clean water they need for everyday life. So if you participated in a bucket challenge, we want you to refill that bucket by doing two things. Firstly, donate to a water charity like Just a Drop, who provide clean water to people right across Africa. But secondly, something even more important. We want you to put Africa on your bucket list. Make it a destination that you're going to visit in your lifetime before you... Because travel to Africa is a life-changing experience, and not just for you. Tourism is one of the biggest contributors to local economies, employment, business, and protection of natural resources, conservation, and wildlife. So put Africa on your bucket list, take the Africa Bucket Challenge, change lives in Africa, and have your life change for the better too.
So what we want people to do is to go to a website we've created and donate to Just a Drop. But also on that page, we want to put on videos from all of you. So we've created a YouTube channel that people can upload videos for to donate to water charities, but also to make a commitment to come to Africa and to put Africa on their bucket list to make a much more meaningful contribution to economies in Africa. And this has been endorsed by several people. This is Fiona Jeffries, the former chair and head of World Travel Market. Dame Fiona Jeffries is also a director of ATA and also the founder of Just a Drop, the water charity.
Hi, I'm Fiona Jeffries, a board member of ATA and founder and chairman of the international water charity Just a Drop. I'm encouraging everyone to fill up the bucket and donate to Just a Drop to help provide access to clean water and make a real difference in Africa. But I also want people to put Africa on their bucket list and take a trip of a lifetime to this amazing continent and contribute to employment, income, and protection of natural resources. Let Africa make a real difference to your life with an incredible experience you'll never forget. And please, don't forget to donate.
So when people are being challenged to do ice bucket challenges, like Nigel Nicole, the head of ATA, was challenged by Serge D from We Are Africa recently to do one, contribute to this instead.
Hello, I'm Nigel Nicole from ATTA. I recently accepted the Ice Bucket Challenge to donate to ASL. This was given to me by Serge D of We Are Africa Pure, and Serge, I accept your challenge. Now you think the children are going to pour cold water all over my head. They're not. Instead, they're going to put £1 in the bucket. And that £1 is going to give clean water to a child in Africa for 10 years. So please donate to our charity, Just a Drop. And secondly, perhaps you could pledge to put something in our Africa bucket by coming to Africa at some point. Come to Africa for tourism purposes or whatever, to see the people, help conservation, and help the people of Africa. Thank you.
So we've created a website. We'll be out in the lobby over the next 2 days. You can come and see us, and we'll take an Africa Bucket Pledge video from you that you can share with your fans on social media and direct them to a website where they can donate to Just a Drop, but also see tourism videos from across Africa for destinations they want to visit. And we'll tell you where you'll be able to, via that page, to send us links to your own videos as well, so we can share your companies, products, and destinations on there as well. So thank you very much for your time this morning. Before I go, though, I do think we need to recognize the biggest internet meme of the year, and it hasn't been the ice bucket. It's been something much more fun than that. And I talked about it briefly this morning, and that's been Pharrell Williams' Happy, a real phenomenon which has raised awareness of destinations around the world. And I think it's had its day. We want to say farewell to it this morning by showing people exactly how happy Cape Town is. So if all of you could take your phones out, please, we'd like to encourage you all to show people around the world just how happy we are in Africa and how happy we are in Cape Town. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome from here in Cape Town, the Extremes. Ladies and gentlemen, a big clap for the Extreme and the kids from Brisbane Community Tourism Happy Feet Project. So on that note, TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor played a critical role, as you saw, in that in Goose Week. We're getting so much coverage and getting the kids so exposed worldwide. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the last time that Helena will be with us on stage. She's moving on to a senior position within TripAdvisor. So with someone here, sorry, Helena came to one of our first events that we held here in Cape Town. It's been a cool part of every event we've ever had. This is her swan song in a way. So we've been thrilled to have you with us all these years. And we wish you the best of luck. And for the last time, please welcome to the stage, Helena again.
Okay, I can do it. I love following Damian on stage. I won't have one video, I won't have any music, but I'm going to have a lot of stats, so please stay away. What I wanted to do is, first of all, thank you everyone. It's been fantastic working with all of you, and I'm not disappearing, I'm just moving to another role, and I'm sure I'll be involved with you all, hopefully in some capacity. But Chad, who's sitting there, do not give him away. So Chad's continuing his great work here, and this will be someone replacing me in very short time. I was hoping to announce them today, but I can't. So, what does travel really mean? I took my 72-year-old, I called her 73-year-old mother to Madikwe. We stayed at the Rulani Safari, and we were there 3 days, and we saw 19 animals. If you look at my mum's face, she's never been to Sub-Saharan Africa. She's never really been to Africa. She's been to Tunisia years ago. Sadly, I lost my father a couple of years ago, so my mother is very scared of traveling on her own. I think I'm going to have to struggle with this microphone, so I may actually want a microphone in my hand if that's okay. So she had absolutely amazing time. Then the South African tourism took us to shark cage diving. I'm claustrophobic, I can't put my head under the water, and I'm terrified of sharks. And somehow, there we went, and it was fantastic.
I'm sick like a dog on the way back, but I will never forget it. So what does travel really mean? Everyone's been saying it's memories. It is memories, it is images, it's user-generated content everywhere online, not just on TripAdvisor. And people share these memories. For me, that photo, my mum doesn't do online. She's never been in the internet. She's still asking me, is this place on TripAdvisor? I'm like, oh God, Mum, really? As everyone is on TripAdvisor, right? I'm not sure if that place is. So she really doesn't understand online, but she wants to have a photo book, and I'm going to get printed for her. And she's going to take it to all her friends. She's going to tell, she's that generation. So the images are really, really, really powerful, whichever format they are. So here goes stats. Very quickly, TripAdvisor keeps on growing. We're hugely excited that it has hit 280 million unique monthly visitors. And 90 contributions a minute. So if you think this is just purely travel, user-generated content website, 90 pieces of content are coming on our site every single minute. We now have 170 million reviews and opinions. And I'm going to tie this all together again, what it means to you. I know I've stood here 5 years, and I've been lucky enough to stand here 5 years and talk to you about how to use TripAdvisor. I'm going to spend a little less time on that, but I'm going to talk what's happening on TripAdvisor and how South Africa is presented there. So now we have a South African domain. So I'm seeing slightly different stuff in there than there. We launched our South African domain in February. So that's hugely exciting because everything's in Okay. So that's hugely exciting for 2 reasons. Because the domestic travel I'm going to showcase to you is also on the rise in South Africa. So now everything's displayed in rands. So whoever comes from South African IP can actually look at local content. There's a little talk that everyone's been saying, the importance of mobile and tablets. And I'm going to go deeper into this. But if you look at the moment, we're using, you may know Comscore. Comscore is a company that qualifies audiences across the globe for online sites. And they actually qualified that in North America alone, people are using TripAdvisor more on mobile than they are on desktop. We don't yet have this data across the world, but this is really the trend. And I'm going to showcase later how people are researching your product on mobile and tablet. People who book, they actually do visit TripAdvisor, and I'm going to also talk more about bookings in a second. But if you look at the top travel intenders, these are the dreamers, these are the people who go and research travel. How many of them actually transact? And how many of those who have purchased a trip use TripAdvisor? It's rather overwhelming, 42% overall. And somewhere like Italy and UK have really become the site that more than half of the population who take a trip, before they convert, they go onto TripAdvisor. And that's why you've got to put your content in there. It is free, like we were saying, the minister was saying, there are so many free options there. And I'm going to show you statistics that I hope we can change. So, South Africa. Can I just say, enormous congratulations. You have the highest average accommodation review score in the world, the 4th highest. If you look at Belize, Maldives, and Mauritius, who have rather less tourist accommodation products, I would give yourselves a clap. This is you guys. This is you guys doing an amazing job and having fantastic reviews on TripAdvisor. This is pretty amazing. This is the first time we've ever pulled this for a full year and looking at how high your accommodations are rated. And I've stayed in 2 amazing accommodations. I stayed in Ruani in Madikwe, and I'm staying at Blackwood Lodge here in Cape Town, and having fantastic service. This morning I was running late, so I got a little knock on the door saying, looks like you're going to miss breakfast, but here's your coffee. You may want it. Amazing. So, if we look at South Africa, the domestic research is really up. So your domestic travelers are equally important as the international travelers. 53% of the research that happens in South Africa is coming from South African IPs. Then you can see what your key markets are. I think there are some interesting things there. We've got Thailand, Tanzania, India's quite high up. Let me go back. You can tell that I've been on 2 weeks unpaid leave and my head's all over the place. Ignore what I said. This is what South Africans are looking at. So when you guys are traveling, more than half of you are looking at South Africa. And then when you go abroad, it's Thailand, Italy, UK. I don't know how many of you were at Indaba. Not that many, but Indaba was a conference in Durban, and there was a very tight, interesting media panel with Richard Quest, and Mr. Tulani was there as well, talking about the air travel across Africa. So this really showcases the fact that people who leave South Africa don't actually travel that much within African continent, they go further. We're interest growing from South African IPs. So the locals here are looking at Indonesia, their own country, and actually more and more African countries. So let's not forget about mobile and tablet. This is really, really, really important. So who have the highest share of South African views from mobile? Look at China. So key thing for you to remember is whatever you do online, whatever kind of website you have, just make sure it's mobile ready. It doesn't have to be a fancy app or anything. People are slightly less likely now downloading apps, but it really matters that wherever they come from, China, your locals, Ireland, UK, they can see your content on mobile and tablet format, not just on desktop. So who's looking at South Africa? I think this is obviously hugely exciting for you. So 41% are coming from domestic IPs. UK, US, Germany, Australia, Holland, Canada, France, Italy, China, and Switzerland are the top markets who are researching South Africa. So these really are your key markets. In the last 12 months, 41% came from IPs. So this is your but 48% of the insurance abuse of South African market content came from European markets. So it's really important for you. And then obviously you have US, Australia, Canada are the largest non-European markets in South Africa. So who's growing? Who's really, really excited? Who's been in the last year excited about South Africa? I would say a lot of people, I would hope so. But China is having the biggest increase. The European markets are slightly lower. We don't know why this is, but this is just looking at how the views compare year-on-year analysis. So we're looking at Israel, it's quite obvious. Sweden, I have no idea why there's a 40% drop. But this is just a statistic. I'm happy to share this with you. So chat's here, so if you want to get these statistics, ask him. Because the whole presentation is quite a large file. So when people research, the whole global audience, when they look at South Africa, where do they look at next? And this is something that came up also at the panel in Indaba, that the competitive markets for South Africa are not necessarily the ones around you. They're actually further afield. So when people look at South Africa, they next look at US, Italy, and this is global, so we could go deeper and look at per IP as well. But if you look at those top 10 countries, none of them are actually in this continent. Domestic cities. So when they look at South Africa, when they look at Cape Town, this is the list of cities they look at. So this is how the top 10 views are divided by domestic cities. International cities. So you can see when they have looked at here, where they look at next. They look at whether they look at Joburg, whether they look at Cape Town, they look at London, Dubai, New York, Paris, Livingston, Rome, Istanbul, Marrakesh, Barcelona, Nairobi. So there's much more Africa in there. But really think about your cities. Think about Cape Town. It is on the level of those cities. When people are looking at city content, they are thinking of a city trip. When they're looking at safari content or luxury content, your destination is comparable with all of these. And this is really a physical data that we're pulling. And this is really exciting for us to be able to pull. So what we're hoping to do when we work very closely with William and Talani and Coke in South African tourism, and also TGCSA, Cape Town tourism, what we want to do is help you to understand more how this varies per country. So if your key market you want to attract is Germany, where we're starting a very exciting campaign in South African tourism soon. If that's your market, let's see what they're looking at. So we can bring you a lot of data thanks to the cooperation we've been having and still having with South African tourism. So South Africa page views on mobile. Sorry, it's a Twitter feed. I don't know what happened to my screen. So you can see where people are viewing South African content on mobile and tablet. There are a lot of statistics in here. Keeps on coming off. I'm loud anyway. So I'm not going to go through all these statistics, but I think they speak in volumes. So just make sure that you realize that the desktop traffic, especially on TripAdvisor, is really moving towards tablet and mobile. Not necessarily the app, which is interesting. So I've been doing all those, because I thought I'll put you to sleep on myself too, because there's so many statistics. But key thing is they're not necessarily using the apps. That's why I always think app isn't the end all be all. It really is to have your site mobile ready. So this map is a heat map. This is the first time ever we've been able to work with our big partners such as Booking.com. Just stand here. Yeah. Booking.com. Booking.com, Expedia, and other online travel agents. Obviously, now there are changes on that field as well. But we have the ability to trace the bookings. So 71% of people who looked at South African accommodations actually converted to book South Africa. What we want to do next, we want to then spread this further field, and we want to see where did they book if they didn't book South Africa. That data is not there yet, so you can back in chat, and he'll give you that data at some point. But this is quite cool, so it is really there on the world average. So this tells me that the content is great on TripAdvisor. However, this I wasn't that happy about. The registrations are great. Cape Town Central, 80% of the accommodations have actually registered as an owner, so they have an ownership of their property. If you have a property, restaurant, or tour company, it's free. You just go register. Oh, actually, that's my next slide. Sorry. How do I go back? Right. Yeah. So this is first. How many accommodations have registered as an owner? How many of them have been reviewed in the last 30 days? And the staggering third column is how many people have actually responded to reviews. Even though Cape Town's high, it's still going to be higher. So I hate to, and we brought in Tanzania and Kenya as an example. And overall in South Africa, only 6% of the accommodation owners and managers respond to reviews, and it's really vital to respond. Even if it's great, these people were there probably same time as me and my mum, or the day before, I'm not sure, this was a couple of days ago. Very long, all positive, all fantastic. So you think, I don't want to get to react, because this is also very, very positive. But what did they do? The owners actually live in Brazil, Rolf and Marissa, a lovely Swiss-Brazilian couple, I think. If you just take a 1 minute and, well, not even a minute, couple of seconds and read this. One of the key things everyone's been saying is the images. So when you get reviews, it's great if you get the images, because the images sit there not only with the review, but for Rulani Lodge in Magic Way, where I stayed, they will have those photos attached to their property because this person who was there did that. I'll try to do that as well. I'm not as active writing reviews as I should be, but I will. So it's really important to respond to your reviews because it also helps the popularity index. It really helps if you interact with the reviews that you get. So it's easy. You can promote, you can engage, and above all, you can monitor. So if there's something that's really out of place, and please feel free to come talk to Chad and me in any breaks. If you have specific reviews that you want to talk to us about, we're happy to help where we can. So easy. That photo's been there forever. I'm hoping my new role to change that photo. That has really been there for a very long time. Lovely couple, I'm sure. So we need a new photo. But it's so easy. You just go, TripAdvisor.co.za owners, register as an owner, either link with your Facebook page or put your credit card details, which you won't charge. It's just to establish that you are who you are, and then roll to your oyster. One thing this is interesting is our forums. So we have Cape Town destination experts, we have destination experts in other areas as well. Get in touch with these guys. They're writing about you and your destination and probably about your tourism products. We have launched the first ever trip barometer for South Africa. So this is really exciting news. We've been doing this for years now for markets where we have domains. So this is the first year we launched South African domain. So you can actually go there and you can find out the trends. A lot of the stuff that I was showing to you, you can find out from this trip barometer. It gives you a really good idea of what's happening in the marketplace. So, South Africa, we've been working together for, William, is it 5 years? We're coming to our 6th year? I think so. It's been always really exciting and engaging. So you may have seen this before. We are in conversations at the moment how we're going to continue this, but this has been a really, really great success. So there's a lot of interaction. This is really telling the wealth of opportunities that you have when you come to South Africa and what to experience and see. It's an interactive map. It's live on 9 domains, definitely, including China and India. And this has been, and China especially, people are sharing this in Weibo's or their social media like crazy. So it's really cool stuff that we've been doing. We recently, as recently as March, we allowed destinations to sponsor a homepage image. So when you come to TripAdvisor, the first image you see on our homepage, South African tourism was the first one to take this opportunity across 12 different domains across the globe. And it's an editorial placement, so our editorial team chose the image. I think it's a beautiful image of Table Mountain. We saw a 1,400% uplift to views of Cape Town from the IPs from the markets, these 12 markets. So this just showcases what the minister was saying as well, how great it is when you have a tourism board who's really, really interactive and always willing to take another step and do something different. So what does this mean to you? So we've been doing educationals, we've been doing all kinds of stuff, great marketing. This for me is really exciting. The content is definitely there. We have a great relationship with DGGSA. So we have uploaded every single property that's graded by the Grading Council. We also added the Grading Council star ratings on TripAdvisor. So instead of showcasing Expedia, other partners' star ratings, we're now using the official ones from DGGSA. This showcases you in the past year how much more the actual content has grown. Next step is yours. South African tourism and DGGSA can help us to do this. But what we really want you to do as industry is go and make sure you own your product. Put your videos and images there. Get your consumers. I mean, we were shark driving yesterday. I was terrified. I mean, to the level that I didn't think I was going to do it. But the first thing they did, they gave us a speech that they're #1 on TripAdvisor. They asked everyone to go and write a review. They gave us a little card that again reminded people to go and write a review. And not only that, they were talking about the important work they do with the sharks and how to donate. So they got all that across to us, and a lot of the reviews were actually including that information as well. So it's really exciting to get people to talk about other things that you do. The experience is important, but if there's something they can take away with them, it's really cool. I know, this is our research director, and this is how he views things, slightly differently than I do. But this is the very, very cool stuff that we do with DGGSA, and we're in talks to continue our partnership, and hopefully in the next phase we'll be repeating something along lines of this. So we looked at star rating from the Grading Council versus the TripAdvisor rating. How do they compare per region? How do they compare per, they call sub-bubble ratings. So the sub-bubble ratings include sleep quality, they include friendliness, they include a lot of different factors. So we can now look at if a property consistently gets 2 or 3 stars, is it because cleanliness? Is it because sleep quality? You know, what are the reasons why they get a lower or higher? Are there properties that actually are consistently 5-star on TripAdvisor, but they only get 2 official stars from DGGSA? Why is that? So this is a very interesting project that we kicked off. Lisa will remember probably last year. Yeah. And we've been calling this data working closely together. So before I go to my takeaways, I want to tell one very quick story. When I got to Marikwe, I didn't realize how sociable people are at safaris. My mum doesn't speak huge amounts of English, so I ended up speaking to quite a lot of people. And, you know, everyone goes, what do you do, what do you do? And I said, I'm from TripAdvisor. And this one guy stands up and goes, oh my God, I never owned a mobile phone, never had a smartphone. My wife got me one last March to do traveling. The second app I downloaded was TripAdvisor. They went to Argentina and Chile. This guy had never traveled. He owns a little restaurant in the mining town. He said he doesn't want his restaurant on TripAdvisor. Don't know why. I didn't ask. But anyway, he planned the whole of his trip, and he was telling stories that we love hearing. He said, we were in Argentina. There's this restaurant that looks like, from outside, had overwhelming, massively amazing reviews. And it was the best food he ever tasted. So he went and wrote a review, shared it with all those millions of people who are reading his reviews. It's just so exciting. And he said he'd never ever been online. He'd never had a smartphone. I never knew that I could actually just see what other people have experienced. And having that kind of excitement by someone, he's really just stood up at the middle of the dinner on a campfire. And I was like, okay, nice. And there's an American couple who came to safari, and they said they didn't really know where to go. People talk about Kruger, nothing against Kruger, I've never been, but they said we just didn't really know where to go. They said Marikwe and Rolani had such amazing reviews on TripAdvisor that was the only reason why they ended up traveling to that part of South Africa. So this is any of you who own any kind of tourism product. All you need to do is just make sure, oh, sorry, let me jump here. Make sure that you encourage reviews. This is the, I'm so sorry, I forgot the company, I know you guys are here. Thank you, Marine Dynamics. Shame on me. This is their website. They give you a link to their blog where you can download photos. The photo you see of Charles, who's going to speak tomorrow, and myself, and those sharks were actually from their blog. When you go in there, it says on the bottom, go like on Facebook, and also please visit our TripAdvisor page and leave your feedback. Really, really important. So this is all free. And it's just photos that people take. They put them everywhere. Hopefully they put them on TripAdvisor as well, but it's really important that you guys really utilize those. So mobile and tablet are growing. That's very important. So have your sites mobile and tablet ready. And one thing I cannot highlight enough. I said this, and Tara from Bo was telling me that there's a lovely blog post about it. One key thing for me since I've been coming to South Africa for the past 5.5 years. People are so friendly, and travel is fun. And people are here to make lifelong memories. It goes such a massive long way when you have a smile. So we went to Botswana for half day with my mum. She loves those books about the Ladies Detective Agency. So that was a very interesting tour, and we also learned a lot about the history. But what did my mum come back? I asked her, what was the biggest thing about Botswana? Was it the, the ghosts on the street? Was it the hospital that we visited, or the orphanage where these happenings are in the books? No. She said to me, wasn't it amazing when I went to Woolworths and I bought that tea and the guy was so nice and he smiled? I was like, that is amazing. That was really, she said, obviously we saw 19 animals in Rulani, we had an amazing time, but this guy made our trip to Marike and Rulani. He's a head game ranger called Chase. And he was so excited that it was our first safari. He was clapping hands. He was so excited. And he kept on, he knew so much about the animals, and he just the whole time, 6 in the morning he was excited, 9 in the evening he was excited. And I asked him, I said, so how much time off do you get? And he said, well, I work 28 days and then I take 12 days off. And I said, oh, did you just come back from your holiday? Oh no, I'm on my 25th day. And I looked at him and I thought, wow, this is the guy you want to work with yourself, because he's so excited. He got my mum and me excited. The way he was, and I actually heard the mothers, and not to take it bad about anyone else, but the others, everyone wanted to be on our car. There was only 2 game drivers, rangers, and this was the head one. And he was awesome. He had been there for 1 month. 1 month in Marike, and he knew so much. So he really, I just want to remind you all that having a smile, being excited about your product, being excited about working in travel. I'm glad I'm staying in travel, I'm not disappearing. But travel is such a fantastic area to work in, and you are there to be able to give memories to people. So it's really the simple things. Damian said, the minister said, if your product's correct, and you let the consumers spread their words, you're doing really, really well. And I can't believe that. I was almost in tears. I was so happy that the minister showcased the video that South African Tourism actually shot together with Tiwibe. So it wasn't shot by TripAdvisor, but we were so delighted about that story, and I think that story is great. He never spent a penny with us. We obviously sell things as well, so if you want to spend money, you can talk to Chad. But you can actually do awesome things on TripAdvisor without spending any money. So, as Damian just walked in and gave me that loving look, let's come again. I want to say thank you so much, and any questions you have, I don't know if you have time now, but we're going to be in, oh, no time at all. I'm getting bubbles. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope that was useful. Any of the data you want, any of the statistics you want, any chat you want to have with Chad and I, I'll be here all day today. Chad will be today and tomorrow. Thank you.
And Helena will be on our panel this afternoon for questions.
Oh, yes, sorry, I will be here this afternoon.
For questions, yes. So please, thanks to Helena again. Don't go anywhere. Anybody who knows Helena well knows there's one word that's always associated with her, and that word is bubble. She is the greatest advocate and ambassador South Africa has ever had when it comes to the local wine industry. So we're going to give her a special send-off today, with a special thanks to Stellenbosch Wine Route, Destiny, and to Siemens Estates. We want to give you this hamper of bubbles for you right here. There's another one. There's an extra one. This is just for maybe on the way home on the plane or something. And to make it truly special from you, if you want to come up, Jackie, with your weapon. This really is the end. Yes. Can we just step out of the way, please? Your cameras at the ready, folks, as we... I feel so in the line of fire. Thank you. So, folks, we're going to break for our coffee break now. If we can be back in here by 11:45, that'd be great. We're going to make up some time. I'll give you an incentive, at 11:30. We can try to be back by 11:30, that'd be great. As an incentive, over the course of the next few days, we have lots of bottles of Siemens Sigma with us that will be kindly donated for the event. I'm going to be giving them away regularly to members of the audience throughout the show, so I'll be giving one away when we get back in here at 11:30 as a little incentive to get back in some coffee. So please enjoy your coffee break, and we'll see you back here.